I'm going to be 100% upfront to start this video and say I know practically nothing about Noah, or at least current Noah. I think the last time I watched a match from them was probably last year with El Desperado facing off against Yohei. They had a great match. But to get to today's topic, all over social media, I had seen the buzz around the name Tavion Heights. Tavion Heights is a 27-year-old wrestler under the NXT brand over in WWE with about a year of experience and around, I think, before the tournament, around like under 100 matches under his belt, I believe. Basically a rookie in the wrestling world, and just like Noah, I knew nothing about him. I knew nothing about what he had done so far in NXT. What I do know though is that all over social media, all I saw was people praising his work so far in Noah's N1 Victory tournament, and especially seeing how much it was helping him grow and develop. So similar to our Konosuke Takeshita video, I want to go through every match of his in this tournament, and the difference between that video and this one is obviously the criteria, sort of. Takeshita is a veteran in this business, and the main goal of that video, like I said, was really just for me to watch some great wrestling. For this one though, I really want to examine Tavion's growth from match to match in a variety of different categories such as match quality and adaptability. I think the thing I'm most interested in seeing with this video is the fact that I'm pretty much going in blind for a lot of these. At least with Takeshita's G1 run, I sort of know what to expect out of him. I knew what to expect out of, quite a bit of the New Japan roster that I knew. Of course, there was some I didn't know. But here, like I said, I know nothing about Tavion, and I know nothing about the Noah roster. So I'm kind of interested to learn about everyone involved. Tavion's N1 journey starts off against Titus Alexander. Alexander is a 23-year-old and worked for various promotions in his 6 years wrestling. Despite being the younger talent, he has plenty of experience, and I'm interested to see how that plays out with this match. Making his entrance, Tavion comes out energetic and full of life. Anytime I talk about Noah, I have to praise the hell out of their production. The quality is so crisp and it makes the entrances so much better. To begin this match, we see the two engage in a series of lockups, with Tavion doing his best to demonstrate his strength, whether that is slamming Alexander or nailing him with two big clotheslines. We see some action outside the ring with the two brawling a bit and Alexander being sent over the guardrail. Back in the ring though, Tavion is in complete control, showcasing his strength and swiftly avoiding Alexander's offense. We even see Tavion impressively hit a gut-wrench slam on Alexander for a close 2 fall. Tavion's confidence is what his downfall is though in this match. After pretty much manhandling Alexander all match, he goes for another overhead suplex, and Tavion thinks he's landed the move, but Alexander actually landed on his feet. Alexander pushes him into the corner and hits an albeit kind of awkward looking O'Connor roll suplex for the win. A pretty dominant display from Tavion, with the tiny story element of his hubris getting the best of him. Tavion's next match sees him takes on Alpha Wolf. Alpha Wolf is a 25-year-old wrestler out of Mexico with 12 years of in-ring experience. By the way, in these videos, I get most of my information from Cage Match, so apologies if anything is slightly wrong. This is going to be an interesting test for Tavion. I'm interested to see how he adapts and carries himself. We see a similar start from the last match, both men scrapping together, trying to get a feel for one another's game. Once again, intentional or not, we see the hubris of Tavion come into play yet again. After Alpha Wolf gets the better of him, Tavion immediately tries to rush into hitting a suplex on Wolf, only for Wolf to get out of it. He tries charging Wolf again, only to go spilling to the outside. He sees Wolf going to perform a dive and eggs him on, only to underestimate Wolf's weight and momentum and take the move head on, crashing down to the ground. Tavion gets himself back in the lead by sending Wolf crashing into the barricade. For good measures, he slams Wolf on the outside. However, that hubris is still there as he proclaims that this is his house. Back in the ring, the two are going back and forth. Tavion hits an impressive suplex brainbuster-esque move with extreme speed. Wolf hits a great sequence of moves with a springboard drop kick, super kick, brainbuster, and yet another dive on the outside. This leaves both men spent with Tavion crawling away to create some breathing room. However, this doesn't stop Wolf from following him around, laying in a chop, and sending Tavion into the ring post as retaliation for him doing the same earlier. Wolf follows this with a brutal slam on the outside, and we see a fun spot where Tavion tanks a super kick only to be tricked by Wolf and taken down with a suplex. Wolf goes for a moonsault, but Tavion gets his knees up at the last second, and without skipping a beat, Tavion goes for the pin, but it only gets 2. The two men then pull their straps down and get into a battle of chops and forearm strikes. However, it is Tavion's turn to trick Wolf as he knees Wolf at the same time as his strike. This stuns Wolf enough for Tavion to hit his running suplex slam or belly to belly suplex. Don't really know if he has a name for it, don't know how to describe it, but hits that sort of belly to belly slam for his first win of the tournament. A step up from the last match that really showed more of his character and abilities. Tavion's next challenge is Manabu Soya. Soya was a part of Noah's resident faction Congo. I remember him specifically due to LIJ's little mini feud with Congo last year. This is an exciting matchup and might be the most experienced wrestler Tavion has been in the ring with so far in his career, I would say. The match starts off hot with Tavion performing a takedown on Soya and getting some great mat work in. He even gets a quick little roll up in there. The two continue their mat work with Tavion working some headlocks in. Tavion hits a big shoulder tackle that sends Soya to the ground. The two then get into a sort of test of strength, charging at one another with shoulder tackles. Each time though, Tavion holds his own. A clothesline from Soya sends Tavion to the outside. Just like with Wolf, Tavion is going to eat a chop, but this time he gets the advantage on the outside as he hits a slam on the outside. He then begins to club Soya's chest before taking the action back in the ring. Tavion again uses that technical skill to get some unique roll-ups in. Even after big moves, the two men still call to one another, and we see a great spot where they both take each other out with lariats. Once they're back up, and this again sort of turns into a battle of who can, take more lariats from one another. Even with exhaustion running high, we just see both men finding it within themselves to keep going. Tavion even smiles after one and, then goes on to hit a series of his own lariats. We see Tavion catch Soya off guard with a power slam, and it gets a close 2-fall. Tavion argues with the ref, and this almost costs him as Soya hits a big lariat for a close 2-fall. But the damage is done though as Soya hits yet another lariat for the win right after. A great showing for Tavion, one that really saw him tap into his best stuff, I believe, and start to get the crowd even more invested in his work. Even, some nice little character work where he was unable to get Soya to shake his hand both before and after the match. From one former Congo member to another, this time probably Tavion's biggest challenge yet. The former leader of Congo and one of Noah's biggest names, Kenoh. Kenoh has won many titles in Noah, including their world title on 3 separate occasions. The outcome was spoiled for me with this match, but I'm still interested to see, how Tavion matches up with Kenoh. Tavion begins the match, wrestling him down to the ground. He catches him by surprise, but Kenoh is able to escape to the outside. We even see that sort of like surprised look on Kenoh's face. As soon as he gets in, Tavion backs him to a corner before the ref has to separate them. Tavion, he sort of knows the challenge that's in front of him, and thus he's trying to stay on top of the game, He's very attentive, and he's on top of it so much that he forces Kenoh out for a second time. Perhaps with frustration building, Tavion goes and meets Kenoh on the outside, and he uses that opportunity to get the best of Tavion. Tavion is thrown into the barricade twice before Kenoh takes him to all 4 corners to lay in some stiff kicks. Back in the ring, Tavion and Kenoh start to exchange strikes. We see him, Tavion using the forearms, Kenoh using his kicks. We see Tavion hit a big gut wrench slam, and again we get to see that pure shock on Kenoh's face. We see it again when Kenoh lays in a kick that has no effects on Tavion. One of the most impressive moves from Tavion so far is catching Kenoh's leg and transitioning it into like a belly-to-belly like suplex. It's kind of tough to describe. I'll put the clip right here so you guys can see it. Pretty impressive move from Tavion. Tavion then takes 2 German suplexes from Kenoh, but each one he gets up right after. After a second one, he springs back up and lands a huge clothesline. After some more back and forth, we see Kenoh is finally able to take Tavion down with a big kick and sets up for a big move from the top. However, Tavion rolls out of the way and catches Kenoh off guard with his signature belly-to-belly suplex for the win. Or sorry, the shock win, you know, but it wasn't a shock to me because, like I said, sadly got spoiled. Still though, it is quite the shock to see Tavion get, you know, this big win over such an established name. He also gets the handshake from Kenoh afterwards, something that he hasn't gotten from other competitors. A great showcase, although personally I might still prefer the Soya match over this one. Tavion's next match comes 6 days later. Quite the break for him as he'll be nice and rested. Tavion's next opponent is Yoshiki Inamura. Again, like I always say in many videos, I'm sorry if I mispronounce anyone's name. Another opponent that, like I said, I'm going in quite blind with. I've never even heard of him, to be completely honest. So this match takes place in a bit of a smaller setting. So I'm interested to see, you know, if the two sort of keep things in the ring. Tavion starts the match with his usual mat wrestling. We see him impressively slam Inamura to the mat. Inamura is able to escape Tavion's grasp of a toss though. The two continue to fight back and forth for control, and we see Tavion send Inamura into the ropes to create space, but both instances result in Inamura taking him down with a shoulder tackle. Each time, Inamura follows with a headlock to remain in control. However, we see Tavion learn from this. We see this wonderful sequence of both men running the ropes. Each time, Tavion uses that speed of his to dodge Inamura, and even in some instances, switch directions to throw him off. This pays off as Tavion lands a huge clothesline to gain the advantage. However, this doesn't last for long as Inamura is right there back in the mix. We see him hit a big slam on Tavion, and then he tries to follow it up with a suplex. This leads to both men fighting to see who can hit the suplex. We see Inamura throw Tavion towards the ropes, hoping to use that momentum to his advantage, but Tavion is the wrong wrestler to do this with. When he builds momentum, the speed just plays to his advantage. He's able to dodge Inamura's move and take him down on the rebound. We see this followed up by an impressive spot featuring clotheslines and an overhead suplex. Another highlight to note is Tavion hitting a sick Death Valley driver. This one looked really good. He tries to follow up on this, but is pounced by Inamura. That was a cool looking spot and visual. Inamura follows this up with a big slam that just gets 2. And then our final sequence is one that I'll admit somewhat confuses me a bit. Inamura starts running the ropes, presumably to get his signature / finishing move of some sorts, you know, to set that up. But he runs them a little too long, which is the part that kind of confuses me. Like, he keeps going back and forth. You're wondering, you know, what he's trying to do. Maybe he's trying to like take a page out of Tavion's book, build that momentum. But because of him running those ropes a little long, it sets up Tavion to use that momentum once again. This time, he uses that momentum to be able to hit his finishing belly-to-belly suplex for the win. Another shock win, although this one's a bit more awkward, at least in my opinion. But a good match, albeit a little slow at times, but you know, nothing too crazy, just a good, strong showing from both men. Tavion's next opponent in the N1 is his final one, as due to injury to one of the competitors in his block, he has one less match as everyone else. And I'm honestly quite sad because the wrestler that ended up getting injured was one that I've heard quite a lot about, so I was hoping to, you know, get my first exposure to him through this tournament, but sadly, injuries happen. So Tavion's final opponent is Ulka Sasaki. Again, sorry if I mispronounced it. Another wrestler that is completely new to me. Despite being older in age, currently 34, Sasaki is actually in his first year of wrestling, at least from what I can tell from the information I've got. He had one match towards the end of last year and about 57 matches this year so far. Sasaki is currently the national champion of Noah, and from reviews, seems to have a sort of fighter background. The two men start the match. showcasing their technical abilities, some some lockups and takedowns. Tavion especially seems to get things going after Sasaki beckons him sort of arrogantly. Tavion sends Sasaki to the outside with a clothesline. However, after some moves on the outside, Tavion takes his time getting back in, and this allows Sasaki to knock him off the apron. Back in the ring, Sasaki gets Tavion in a leg lock. Tavion is able to break this hold, for rope break, but Sasaki did put a lot of pressure on that leg, so it's going to be interesting to see how that comes into play with this match. Tavion afterwards lands a big rebound slam and follows it up by getting into a striking exchange with Sasaki. Sasaki gets the better of Tavion and really starts to lay in the kicks. A brutal surprise knee really catches Tavion off guard. Tavion, though, he shifts the momentum back in his favor after hitting a side suplex. He follows this with a big overhead suplex and a sling blade, but it only gets 2. However, Tavion gets caught in the middle by Sasaki, who locks in the ankle lock. I love this finishing sequence as we see Tavion really fight. He tries to crawl but realizes he can't even move, and yet he never gives up. He still he still continues to try and reach for those ropes. He tries everything to, not give up, but eventually he does have to tap, but not after doing everything in his power to just not give up. A good showing for Tavion in what would be his final match of the tournament. And with that, another journey has been witnessed. Tavion Heights' N1 victory run was one that I was glad to watch. A bright new star taking on a whole new world. A name that I knew nothing about is now a name that I really look forward to learning more about and seeing more of in the future. As Tavion returns to his home in NXT, I wonder what direction we'll see him go. Just like Takeshita, I hope NXT can see the buzz and potential that Tavion showcased and really capitalize on it, Personally, obviously due to, his experience, being only about a year at this point, still has some things to work on. Personally, I think a couple of adjustments to his movesets can really, help take him to the next level. And obviously, I need to hear from him on the mic, see what he's got on the mic so far to see how that would further improve his stock, But as far as looking towards the rest of the year and the years to follow, his ceiling is honestly however high NXT wants it to be. Still young and with room to grow. I look forward to watching it all, seeing how they exactly develop him, how they exactly hone certain things that, he really showcased as his best stuff here in this tournament. And like I said, I would not mind seeing them capitalize on this momentum. I think, one way they could do it is a North American title match against Obafemi. I think I would be really interested to see that, especially because it would see him take on the challenge of fighting someone who's stronger than him, bigger than him. But as far as this tournament, I would definitely have to say some of my favorites were definitely the Kenoh match, the Alpha Wolf match. But like I said, my favorite is probably the Manabu Soya match. That one was really good. And overall, like I said, his ceiling is however high NXT wants it to be. Just like with Takeshita, it's like it's up to the company now to capitalize on, the buzz that they created with this tournament. And I think, that's why I always enjoy when companies do little like mini excursions like this, because all it does is better, the wrestler that you're sending out. You send them to a new environment to see how they adapt. You see them create buzz. I mean, we literally saw Tavion Heights get so over with the Japanese crowd. Very impressive all to see. Just a young star with great potential that should only see growth and investment after this stellar tournament.